You know that specific kind of desperation that sets in around month 6 of unemployment? It's a quiet, grinding thing. The confidence from your last job has evaporated, your savings are a bad joke, and your browser history is a sad graveyard of job application portals and articles titled Top 10 In-Demand Remote Skills. That's where I was. I was ready to take anything. I just never imagined what anything would entail. The job listing was on one of those obscure bottom feeder websites. It was for a data collation specialist at a company I'd never heard of, Northern Data Processing. The pay was suspiciously good, almost double the market rate for simple data entry. The requirements were minimal: basic typing skills, discretion, and the ability to work independently. The best part: no interview. The application form was a simple online questionnaire. A day after I submitted it, I got a terse email. Subject: Offer of employment. Body: Dear applicant, your profile meets our criteria. Your start date is Monday at 9 a.m. The address for the annex is 1755 Industrial Way. A workstation will be prepared for you. We look forward to a productive relationship. That was it. No phone call, no Zoom interview, just a job offer from the void. My logical mind screamed that it was a scam, a front for something illegal. But the part of my brain responsible for paying rent screamed louder. I accepted. Monday morning, I drove to 1755 Industrial Way. It was in a forgotten part of the city, a sprawling, half-abandoned industrial park from the 70s. The address didn't lead to a gleaming office building. It led to a featureless, brutalist cube of windowless, beige concrete. There was no sign, no company name, just a single heavy steel door. A small, freshly installed electronic keypad glowed next to it. My welcome email had a code. I punched it in. There was a loud, satisfying thunk, and the door clicked open. The air that hit me was the first sign that something was profoundly wrong. It was cold, sterile, and smelled faintly of ozone and warm plastic, like the inside of a new computer from 1985. The silence was absolute. I stepped inside, and the heavy door clicked shut behind me, the sound echoing in a lobby devoid of any furniture, art, or reception desk. There was only a single, glowing sign on the far wall with an arrow and one word: work floor. I followed the arrow down a long beige hallway. The fluorescent lights overhead hummed with a low, oppressive frequency that made my teeth ache. I opened the door at the end of the hall and stepped into my new workplace. It was a sea of cubicles, a seemingly endless maze of beige fabric walls under the same flickering, humming lights. It stretched further than I could see in every direction, and it was completely, utterly empty. No people, no chatter, no phones ringing. But every single computer terminal, old bulky CRT monitors with yellowing plastic cases, was on, displaying a simple green text login prompt. "Hello?" I called out, my voice sounding small and pathetic in the vast, silent space. Only the low hum of the electronics answered. On one of the cubicles near the entrance, a yellow sticky note was attached to the monitor. It had Ethan written on it in neat block letters. My cubicle. Inside, it was standard issue corporate misery: a worn-out office chair, a keyboard sticky with age, the aforementioned CRT monitor, and a top-loading VCR connected to a small portable television. On top of the VCR was a stack of 3 VHS tapes in plain white sleeves, labeled simply Training Module 1, Training Module 2, and Emergency Protocols. A note on the desk read, "Welcome, Ethan. Your work will begin after you have completed the mandatory training. Please insert Module 1 now. We value efficiency. With a deep sense of unreality, I slid the first tape into the VCR. The machine whirred to life. The screen flickered, and after a moment of rolling static, an image appeared. The video was a corporate training video from what looked like the late 1980s. The quality was poor, the colors bled, and tracking lines occasionally scrolled up the screen. A man in a cheap, oversized polyester suit and a too-wide tie smiled at me. His smile was unnervingly fixed. "Hello and welcome," he said, his voice cheerful but tinny. "Welcome to the Northern Data Processing family. We're thrilled to have you on board. Here at the Annex, our work is simple but vital. We process and collate data to ensure the system runs smoothly. Your role is to transcribe the data streams that appear on your terminal. Accuracy and efficiency are key." He gestured around a set that was meant to look like our office, but it was subtly different. Cleaner, brighter. He then walked over to a whiteboard. "Now, let's go over a few of our workplace guidelines to ensure a harmonious and productive environment." He uncapped a marker and wrote, "Rule number 1. A positive attitude ensures a positive workflow. The system appreciates efficiency." Rule number 2. The coffee provided in the break room is a complimentary perk. Please enjoy it. Do not be alarmed if the pot is always full. It is self-replenishing. Rule number 3. You may occasionally hear faint whispering from the air conditioning vents. This is normal system cross-chatter and should be disregarded. Do not attempt to engage with or respond to the cross-chatter. The host smiled his fixed smile. "Just follow these simple rules, and we know you'll be a star employee. Now let's get to work." The video ended with a cheesy corporate jingle and a fade to blue. I sat there, dumbfounded. The coffee pot replenishes itself. Whispering vents. This had to be some kind of elaborate prank or a psychological experiment. But the paycheck was real, I hoped. I decided to play along. I found the break room, an equally soulless room with a single coffee pot that was indeed full of fresh, hot coffee. It tasted fine. I returned to my desk and put in the second tape, Advanced Data Processing. The same host appeared, but he looked tired. His smile was more strained, and there was a sheen of sweat on his forehead. The video quality was worse, with more frequent glitches. "Hello again, valued team member," he said, his cheerfulness sounding forced. "Now that you've mastered the basics, let's discuss some advanced protocols for unique data events." He turned to the whiteboard again. Rule number 4. If your terminal displays a pictographic rendering of a human face instead of numerical data, please avert your eyes and calmly reboot the system by pressing Ctrl, Alt, and Delete. Do not describe the face to your colleagues. The system does not appreciate an audience for its errors. Rule number 5. The man in the gray suit is a legacy subroutine, not an employee. He may sometimes be seen walking the corridors. He is a harmless system error. Do not interact with him. Do not follow him. He will de-resolve on his own. The video glitched violently at this point. For a single frame, the host's smiling face was replaced by a contorted mask of pure terror. Then it snapped back. "Just a few more things to keep in mind for a smooth operation," he chirped, though his eyes told a different story. The tape ended. The man in the gray suit, a face on the screen. My unease was now a heavy physical weight in my gut. I almost walked out right then. But my empty bank account was a more immediate and tangible threat. I had to see this through. I put in the final tape, Emergency Protocols. The image quality was terrible. The video was dark, grainy, and filled with audio hiss. The host was no longer smiling. He was pale, sweating profusely, and his eyes darted around as if he was afraid of something off camera. He wasn't speaking to the camera anymore. He was whispering urgently. "Okay, listen carefully," he whispered, his voice trembling. Sometimes the system needs to defragment. It's called a purge. You'll know it's happening when the main lights turn red and the emergency sirens activate." He grabbed the whiteboard, his hands shaking. Rule number 6. During a system purge, immediately cease all work and take cover beneath your desk. Lie flat on the floor and do not make a sound. Do not look out. The process is loud, but you will be safe as long as you are not detected. What you see or hear during a purge is simply corrupt data being deleted. It is not real. Rule number 7. The workday ends at 5 p.m. sharp. You must exit the building before then. For your own safety, never, under any circumstances, attempt to use the elevators or stairwells after 5 p.m. After 5 p.m., they no longer lead to the lobby. The host leaned in close to the camera, his eyes wide with genuine terror. "Please," he begged, "for the love of God, do not be here after 5. Don't become." The tape cut to static, then blue. I ripped the tape out of the VCR and threw it on the desk. My heart was pounding. This was insane. I had to get out. I looked at my watch. It was already 3:30 p.m. I decided I would work for 1 hour, prove I'd done something, and then leave well before 5. I logged into my terminal, the screen filled with bizarre, nonsensical sentences. The rabid dreams in binary. A shadow is a memory of light. The clock ticks backward on Tuesdays. My job was to retype them exactly as they appeared. It was meaningless, absurd work. As I was typing, a flicker of movement caught my eye. I looked up. Walking slowly down the main corridor between the cubicles was a tall, unnaturally thin man in a perfectly tailored, old-fashioned gray suit. His face was indistinct, blurry, as if my eyes couldn't quite focus on it. The man in the gray suit. He didn't look at me. He just walked past, and as he moved, his form seemed to stutter and glitch, like a bad video game character. Then he was gone. I felt a wave of nausea. I turned back to my screen, my hands trembling too much to type. My monitor flickered. The lines of text vanished, replaced by a hyper-realistic, high-definition image of a face. It was an old woman, her face a horrific mask of rage, her eyes black pits, her mouth open in a silent scream. I yelped and threw myself back in my chair, averting my eyes as the tape instructed. I fumbled for the keyboard and slammed the Control, Alt, and Delete keys. The screen went black, then returned to the normal login prompt. I was done. This wasn't a job. It was a psychological torture chamber. I grabbed my keys and my bag and stood up to leave. That's when the lights turned red. A deep, blood-red emergency light bathed the entire office in a hellish glow. A low, wailing siren began to blare, a sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The Purge. My mind went blank with terror. All I could think of was the host's frantic whisper, "Lie flat, do not make a sound." I dove under my desk, pulling my chair in after me, and curled into a fetal position on the floor, pressing my face against the cold linoleum. The siren was joined by other sounds, the sound of screaming, digital, distorted screams, the sound of something massive and heavy being dragged across the floor, and a sound like a giant server farm deleting terabytes of data, a sound of pure electronic erasure. It's not real, I told myself, repeating the host's words like a prayer. It's just corrupt data being deleted. I risked a peek through the small gap under my desk. I saw things. I can't describe them. They weren't creatures. They were abstract shapes of pure light and glitching code, sweeping through the cubicles like janitors of reality. They were beautiful and horrifying. I saw one of them glide towards the man in the gray suit who was standing motionless in the aisle. The shape touched him, and he simply dissolved into a shower of glowing pixels, his subroutine erased. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed. The process seemed to last an eternity. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The siren died. The red lights switched off, replaced by the familiar humming fluorescent white. The office was silent again. I lay there for a full minute before daring to move. I slowly crawled out from under my desk. The office looked exactly the same, unchanged. I looked at my watch. 5:27 p.m. A cold dread, worse than anything I had felt before, washed over me. Never use the elevators or stairwells after 5 p.m. They no longer lead to the lobby. I ran. I sprinted through the maze of cubicles, my footsteps echoing in the vast empty space. I reached the main doors to the hallway, locked, sealed shut. I ran to the stairwell door, locked. I ran to the elevators, pressing the button frantically. Nothing. I was trapped, defeated. I walked back to my cubicle. On my monitor, a new message was displayed in calm green text. Probationary period complete. Performance satisfactory. Welcome to the team, Ethan. Your employment is now permanent. On my desk, where the training tapes had been, there was now a single new VHS tape. It was unlabeled. With a sense of grim finality, I slid it into the VCR. The screen flickered to life. It was security footage, shot from a camera high in the corner of the office. It showed my cubicle. It showed me, sitting at my desk, typing. I was smiling. A wide, fixed, unnervingly pleasant smile. Just like the host from the training videos. As I watched, the me on the screen looked up directly at the security camera and gave a slow, deliberate wink. I looked down at my own hands. For just a fraction of a second, they seemed to flicker, their image momentarily dissolving into faint static before becoming solid again. I finally understood. The building doesn't hire employees. It assimilates them. We are the data it processes. We are the system. I am writing this now on a notepad I found in a drawer. I don't know who will find this. Maybe the next new hire. The whispers from the vents have started again, but they sound different now. They sound friendly, welcoming. My terminal is displaying a new set of data to be collated. The work is simple, but vital. And the system, after all, appreciates efficiency. I should get back to work. I feel a smile spreading across my face. It feels very, very positive.